نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. um, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to today's session on the Wayfarer's path, in which we talk about how to live life as an active Muslim in an increasingly discordant world. This week's topic, Alhamdulillah, no shortage of topics. There are so many saliks out there who are giving out so many ideas on extant topics, on relevant topics, current topics, topics which are reflecting multiple segments across society. And in this week's Bayan, the segment is the is a segment that I don't know if I am the right person to talk about, right? Even the businessman, even though I have aspirations, because Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was a business person. Even though I have aspirations to become a business person, I know that it's probably one of the hardest tasks, if not the hardest tasks, in this world. Don't believe the anti-capitalist propaganda. I mean, yes, okay, anti-capitalist propaganda, probably correct. Okay, when they're talking about capitalist, but capitalist is not equal to a businessman, especially a Muslim businessman. A Muslim businessman is a special category, a unique segment that is blessed by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and that has a very special place in the Muslim community, a very special place in Islamic community. So I really appreciate this Salik who suggested this topic, which I felt um, um, inappropriate is a strong word, but probably not the best person, the relevant person, because I cannot draw on those so many experiences that a business person can go through, that a business person goes through, to be able to comment on their problems and afflictions, right? Um, how can one speak about a mango when he hasn't tasted it? Nonetheless, given the fact that as a perhaps and as a bystander, as an observer, nonetheless, I'll dare to comment on it, having the luck of considering one of my closest friends, one of my best friends, to be an excellent business person who shared a lot of his problems. Imperfect businessman, like we're all imperfect, and observing his imperfections, but his major struggles and his success also, and in many respects, truly being a business tycoon, right? Um, and also living in a community, a business community, the Memon community, which for some reason I feel a strong resonance with, a strong comfort with, right? Maybe it's because that community also has worked a lot towards advancing religion, advancing deen, advancing the Islamic way of life in our country. And we're very blessed to have them, Memon community. And Allah has in turn blessed them also, right? Their aspiration, their struggles, their intent to further the cause of Islam. You can see it in Tabligh, you can see it in Sufism, you can see it in their acts of charity, in which they have advanced the cause of Islam enormously, right? So the fact that I live in a Memon neighborhood, and the fact that I count one of my best friends to be a business person, also from a Memon community, leaves me, I think, in a commanding and authoritative position to be able to comment on, uh, to lament about the lack or the missing Muslim businessmen. I'm being very harsh, very unfair, and not only in terms of commentary I'm about to make, but characterizing the businessman like this, right? It's not to say at all that this is not a Muslim businessman. I might have succumbed like I do like probably every single time to clickbait, but there is a kernel of truth in the fact that there our businessmen are not, they're definitely believing Muslims, God-fearing Muslims, uh, Deendar Muslims, religious Muslims, Sufi business Muslims. But nonetheless, there's something missing over there. You know, how is it that when you have the Sahaba-e-Kiram who are going to Indonesia and they are engaging in trade, when they're going to India, they're engaging in trade, and what you see is this massive conversions that happen that is inexplicable. It's not inexplicable if you read the non-Muslim histories, non-Muslim biographies. They just can't seem to wrap their head around that the reason that there were so many conversions, that entire societies, entire civilizations, entire lands changed their deen, because of their observation of these class of people, Muslims, business people, that they observed them and were so impressed with them that they decided to convert wholesale towards this religion, right? Perhaps it shows, not perhaps, definitely shows the cynicism of our age, that they cannot accept, cannot wrap their heads around the fact that people converted, people were truly attracted, people converted towards this religion. None of them can seem to be uh, seem to get around this, that maybe this is the reason why. And why should they? And again, it's your and my fault, you and me not writing the modern histories that can show decisively that this was the reason why, right? So similarly, how come is it, so similar lament to the businessman, that we can't blame um, XYZ people for not, just like we cannot blame non-Muslims, those who are writing today's histories, because we are not writing those history books. Similarly, we can't blame people for not being attracted to Islam, because a major reason being, I feel, because the Muslim businessman is not stepping up to the mark and um, acting as a role model to attract Muslims towards our fold, right? Even and my point being that. Some blame on them, because if the Sahaba-e-Kiram, sure, the Sahaba-e-Kiram, but we have to aspire towards them. And if they are leading the way and showing to us that through their acts, through their uh, business acts, through their monetary acts, through their financial acts, their impressive acts, which were entirely based on the Sunnah, they managed to convince and to attract people towards Islam. Why is it that, forget about attracting non-Muslims towards Islam. The fact that our societies are so messed up from a commerce perspective, from financial perspective, from a business perspective, right? Where this saying has taken hold that unless you don't cheat, unless you don't lie, you cannot succeed in the business environs of Pakistan. And Pakistani business culture, again, maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe it's not true on the higher levels. I wonder, but okay, even if it is honest, still, why is it that it is so? It has a reputation of being so dishonest, right? And I can authoritatively comment during my Anglo days in the pipe world, the PVC world, and observing how the business practices of people were. There were some stalwarts, some moral stalwarts who definitely led the way of showing a proper way of working a Muslim Muslim businesses, acting as Muslim businessmen, but they were few and far in between. And even them, I would say, with their best of intentions, but my observation that they're not following Sunnah in its true form, which left much to be desired, right? So I hope to walk you through, but nonetheless, this is critical importance, right? Look, the businessman, um, I would say, plays, yeah, like I said, a decisive role, a preeminent role, a role perhaps greater than ulama, even, dare I say, a role greater than Sufi Karam, they play a greater role than them, even, I would say. And the ulama are the waris, they are the inheritors of the Prophet. So how can I say, like, it sounds very controversial what I'm saying. It sounds outlandish what I'm saying. That how is it that the business person has such a critical, such a preeminent role, um, a decisive role in furthering our Islamic society. It's a mafhum of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that every society, um, it's a mafhum, has their test, right? Every ummah has their test. Every people that has come down the ages has a test, and the test of the Muslim is, it's a mafhum, I think, the world or wealth, right? Um, so even if you say it's the world, it's a mafhum, please check it out. But I'm quite sure I'm on the right track over here. So if that's the case, if it's the world, then the world is the worldliness is manifested uh, most evidently through wealth, right? Through money, through how rich you are, right? And of course, I've spoken about this many times about how our heroes and our mentors and the people we look up to are business titans, right? Business leaders, people who are leading business enterprises and have increasingly become the North Star of um, um, our desires, right? The ultimate manifestation of who we must aspire to. And fine, it is what it is. The dunya is what it is. The world is what it is. So why are the businessmen not stepping? Why is a Muslim businessman, or all the more reason for a Muslim businessman to step up to the mark, all the more reason for a Muslim businessman to step up to the mark as a Muslim business person, imbibing in himself all those qualities of the Sunnah, whereby his business practices, his daily activities are such that they reflect the Sunnah, and they radiate they radiate the true strength of the Sunnah, they radiate the true strength of Islam, whereby so much so it attracts people into the fold of Islam. Of course, the purpose of every human being should be to do their tazkiyah, to do their cleansing, right? Through their acts of acting as Muslim businessmen, doing their cleansing of their soul, right? Truly, business is the forge through which one's nafs can be cleansed, right? It's so hard for a business person who's facing troubling times to pay their salaries on time. It's so difficult for a business person who has worked the whole day to ensure that he gives proper time to his family, that he gives proper time to his community, that he gives proper time to his body, that he gives proper time to his deen, to reads his namaz on time, that he, not willingly, happily gives the portion of his wealth towards um, zakat, his poor due, right? That he that he lives life as an active Muslim, despite all the temptations, despite all the power, despite all the wealth that is flowing towards him, right? Truly, is this not the way that the business person's tazkiyah cleansing is happening? If he is fulfilling his rights and due obligations towards his body, his family, towards his enterprise, towards his deen, towards his neighbors, towards his community, a person who is doing this even imperfectly is probably going miles ahead or miles faster or per hour faster than the ulama, right? Who have taken, definitely, who have learned true knowledge, but their application resides in guiding people, in advising people. And of course, this is a preeminent quality and effort, but it's much, in a way, you can say, much easier than the business person, right? So, again, my point being that the test of the Muslim Ummah is wealth, it is this world. The business person plays a preeminent um, critical role, decisive role, um, um, eminent role in leading the way for the Muslim Ummah, to act as that role model, to attract people towards their fold. That is to say that they can say that, this person, with all his wealth, with all his responsibilities, he fulfills and does due justice with what Allah has given him. I'm so impressed. I want to be just like him. So this is what we have to work towards. I just had this thought in my head that, that this stories, hadith. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting again the uh, its religious theological placement, but this idea that this thing that we're taught that an angel goes towards a village to destroy it, so steeped in sin, and um, an angel says that, oh, but there is this good person who lives in the outskirts, how do we save him? And the command comes that you destroy him first, because his job was to lead the way and to act as a guide, and instead this person just lived on the outskirts, on the edges, and did not go and either preach or to act as that role model so that other people may emulate him, that at least he'd make that effort. See, as my sheikh keeps teaching us, that our role is to be as an active Muslim. To be a true Sufi, to be a true Muslim means to be active, to enact the Sunnah in one's daily life, right? And to be that example for one's own cleansing, but of course, by spillover effect, attracting people also, right? And that is a responsibility that Allah is enjoined upon every single Muslim, to attract people for their own tazkiyah, but to fulfill also the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to attract people towards His fold. After all, are they not also the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is Allah's mercy not upon them also? And is it not your and my job to have been given the utmost mercy to be born as Muslims, to to give that message to them, not by preaching but by practicing, right? Of course, preaching also, but practicing also. So yeah, this example of this person who was reading all his prayers, doing all his duties, but not being active and actively preaching and practicing that among his people, whereby the fearsome command came that destroy him first, along with this entire community, right? So imagine, God forbid, seeing as we are today, that what crazy, scary heights this business led world is being led by its profits, small p, this destruction that we're being led towards, right, by by its profit, small p, these business leaders, these billionaires, trillionaires, we've gotten to thousand billionaires. What craziness we are being led to, what craziness they're driving, right? But may Allah guide them to the truth. May Allah give them hidayat. May Allah, make them the pillar on which Islam can rest. But while that's not happening, how come is it that among these billionaires and trillionaires and millionaires, where are the shining lights, the shining businessmen, the people we can look towards and be like, wow, that's how we want to be? You know, why is there no leading business person that we look at, that this person that we see that he is embodying Islam truly, right? Where are those business books that are being those practical business books that are written by these Muslims who are leading their lives with the Sunnah, right? Where are they? Um, is it not a fearsome thought? Is it not a worrying thought at the very least, that if God comes towards those businessmen who are crossing all bounds, that He may take you, the businessman, the supposed Muslim businessman, first? That where were you? Um, where were you? Why did you not step up to the mark to at least be an example, to at least be a flicker of a flame in the darkness? Um, where were you? Instead of letting them envelop the whole place in darkness, right? Why did you not play your role? You are going to go first. It's just a scary thought that you and I, we can't run into our little hovels, into our little factory floor. We need to really be active Muslims, lest we be called to task, right? So it's just something to think about. Now, there's this book, a very nice book by Sheikh Taqi Usmani Sahab, Darukatum Ali. Um, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the title, but his the thrust of his argument is, he is chiding the ulama that, you just restrict yourself to conversations about divorce, conversation about inheritance, conversation about marriage and inheritance, you one of the things that he suggests that you really need to do is to get on the factory floor, the commercial floor, the markets. You need to go down and to guide and to help the tajir, the traders, the business people into being able to conduct their business in a fair and Muslim manner, right? But on the other side of the equation is a business person. Okay, fine. Maulvi Taqi Usmani Sahab, Daru Katum Ali. Um, the the alim of our age, the mufti of our age, the true inheritor of the prophets, um, the kutub of our age, he is doing his right and doing his due and doing his, pushing his ulama, pushing his muftis to get out on the shop floor, get out in the markets, and make sure that the sunnah is reaching every corner of the marketplace. But I put it to you, Muslim businessmen, where are you? Why are you not attracting these ulama, these poor ulama? Why are you not buying a little space in your Sadr Rec Center or your um, XYZ textile market or your XYZ toy market uh, or your XYZ wholesale market, mobile phone market? Why are you not leaving out a little space, carving out a little space over there, carving out a little space in every little um, narrow street that's over there, and making you sit over there, and for every transaction, for every commercial transaction that's happening, to refer to him, to learn from him, to be guided by him, to ensure that the transactions are a-okay, are a above, and then hopefully through that uh, osmosis, that you lose your reputation, or melt away your reputation, or melt away the reputation that exists in the market of not being honest, of selling something that turned out to be substandard, a mobile phone that turned out to be substandard, a a glass that you covered on my mobile phone that cracked very quickly, a full screen that you promised would work, that you didn't warn me that I don't need to step up, that I should be careful of using, and then I had to go again and just throw your hands up and be like, "What did I know?" Instead of, I don't know, honoring the quality of that thing, you know. Um, and then perhaps if there was an alim over there, that person would assuage you, would give that business person, would give you as a business person, the person running the shop, that don't worry, Allah will make it up for you through this sunnah, this sunnah, this sunnah. Motivate that person to um, to replace my screen. I got pretty angry at that incident. But anyhow, like, sure, the ulama, the muftis are pushing their ulama and muftis to go out in the market. But I ask you, where is the alim on that shop floor? Where is the alim in that marketplace? Where is the mufti? Why are you not inviting them? Huh? Why are you not inviting them for them to tell you how to conduct your business transactions, how to ensure that these wires that are hanging over here, that you should do something about it, that this cleanliness, this filth that all our markets are tarnished with all the gutka and not cleaning and the filthy toilets and the filthy streets, that safai is nafs iman, and that you should be cleaning this place up, and then through this uh, cycle of mutual co-creation and enacting the sunnah, you truly reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through your trade, through your business. You enact your tazkiyah. I mean, it's not easy for you to enact the things that the alim is going to tell you, right? But when you do it and you do the niyat of getting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, man, you guys are going to fly, You guys are going to get to the promised limitless road towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And you need to step up to this mark, right? So I guess I'm giving the first um, practical thing over here. Invite the ulama to your shop floor, to your factory floor. You know, have a assistant manager alim. Give those guys, those poor guys, who after 8 years of hardcore study, the best that they have to show up with is like 30, 40,000 and rupees salary, if and they have to just beg for it also, right? So Muslim businessmen, carve out a new position somewhere in your org chart and hire an alim. Seriously, do that. I mean, all these big textile mills, maybe they do it. Price respect, most of them don't. Why don't you get a mufti saab to be there to guide you on it, right? I mean, is it so radical? I was thinking maybe I should do it in some part of my life. Hire an alim, right? So I think that that's a very practical suggestion that we should do over there. You know, the Salik who suggested this topic to me about business persons and you talk about it. I think he was saying it more from the perspective of that business people, they earn so much and they're still so afflicted and they feel so um, worried and anxious despite having everything. And I would contend that that's a symptom, that's an effect of the act of not following and enacting the sunnah in their business practices and their business principles, right? So um, they may enact the sunnah and have like an iota of the wealth, but still they're at peace because the sunnah, the act of following the sunnah with the niyat of getting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has put their soul at ease. They've taken that one step to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah's taken that the 10 steps towards that person. That look, this person with his far less wealth compared to the business tycoons of that age, this person is enacting sunnah in his business practices with the niyat of getting towards me. Not only am I going to make him have more peace, sukoon, rid him of anxiety, but I'm going to increase his wealth gazillion fold. It happens. It will happen. It will happen. It will happen. Of course, inshallah, whatever Allah wills, but Allah fulfills His promise. And with that logic in mind, Allah, you will succeed. Inshallah, you will succeed if you do to this niyat and with this principle in mind, that to follow the sunnah so that I may get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through my uh, through my designation as a business person. Right. So this Salek, you tell me from that perspective, but I think, in my opinion, with his best of intentions, he has the other way wrong. Right. Um, that wealth means nothing because it's not driven by the need of sunnah. It's not maybe I won't say it's haram, but maybe it's not derived from what is religiously appropriate. Right. Maybe there's a lot of it that's in the gray zone. So the trying to tell me to talk about motivating the business person that no, you don't need to be so anxious. Look how much wealth you have. It would just be um, talking to deaf ears. They would just shake their heads and roll their eyes, and rightfully so, because it would not penetrate into their soul, right? Because their wealth is not a source of comfort. Their wealth, because the way it's derived, is actually the burden on their soul, right? So no matter what you tell those poor guys, it's not going to affect them because this is not a matter of the mind. This is not a matter of convincing yourself. This is a matter of a discordant soul, right? A soul that is discordant, that is not able to enjoy the wealth that Allah has given to this person because it's not derived from Muslim principles. The person who has gathered this wealth is a Muslim, Alhamdulillah, but has not done it through Muslim principles, right? Muslim principles is not 95% ibadat in the mosque. That's maybe 5%, maybe 5%. If 95% is it in your day-to-day life, in your akhlaq, in your behaviors, how much Islam did you implement during that 95% of the time? And as a business person, that 8 hours ideally that you're spending, how much of Islam is it in there? Is it that you are getting out for your work after Fajr because it is blessed? Or are you calling me at Anglo Polymer at 11 o'clock? Yeah, just saying that, yeah, we're going to start processing an order at 11 o'clock, working, like getting to the office at 11 o'clock, you know, no care in the world, getting there at 11 o'clock, I don't know, doing what till like Zohar time. you know, having doing your prayers, having lunch, you're ready to sleep, and then starting some work maybe at like 2 or 3, fielding some random ad hoc reactionary calls, finding out what's happening in the market, signing the check, processing it, signing it, getting everything, all the funds together, sending the rider at 4 o'clock to the bank. It's about to close. You're calling me frantically at 5 or 6. That, oh, the money hasn't arrived. I need the PVC tomorrow. I need it tomorrow. My cycle is going to close down if I don't get it tomorrow. Hey, man, you call me at 11, at 12, after lunch, tell me to expect an order. You send the check late. What am I supposed to do? Okay, your money fell. Thanks to you, I can't get home to my family. I have to leave at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock because I'm fighting with the finance guy. The money's coming. My poor order taker is getting stressed because you're calling him. The money's about to come. The money's about to come. Why doesn't the money come? And it all started from you not starting after Fajr or Fajr. Okay, fine. I don't follow them myself. Starting at 8 o'clock. Alhamdulillah, here in Saudi, maybe not the Saudis, but no, even the Saudis, they have to clock in, they have to punch in at 8, otherwise their salary gets cut. Very good rule. But they start at 8 o'clock, and Alhamdulillah, you can see how Allah blesses them. Maybe they could have started earlier even and received even more blessings and actually, do hard work. But just the fact that they get there at 8 o'clock and it's closer to the Fajr versus, mashallah, the average Pakistani business person in the PVC industry starting at like 11, 12 o'clock. Oh my God. How do you expect your business to go well? How does industry expect its work to go well? Huh? And then you're complaining that, oh, everyone's a cheater. Why am I not doing well? You know what? Let me put some Choona in it. Literally, Choona, calcium carbonate, uh, chalk. That's what they do to increase their profit margins in the Pakistani PVC market. I'm sorry, I don't mean to put it down, but it's so ill reputed to put so much Choona, which destroys the quality of the pipe, and everyone justifies it. Oh, everyone else is doing it. Okay, I'm not saying that this thing, but I know so many successful businessmen in that same market who don't compromise on their quality, and they have an excellent reputation. I'll take a name even now, Jeddah Polymer. I don't know what the situation right now is, but they had an unsullied reputation in the market. If I were to get a PVC pipe, and as I would tell everyone also, even above Steelex, I would say, get Jeddah Polymer. They have the highest quantity of content of PVC to chalk ratio, best quality. And then they had all sorts of other problems also. And the gentleman, he would show up, Haji Saab, he would show up early in the morning. When I would get up for my customer visits, like I would hate it because all the other customers were like popping in at like 11, 12, and were like, I show up at the second half. But I knew that when I would get into the office, there was no way I could get up from it because, you know, Anglo had its own problems, mashallah, and not operating on Islamic principles. But anyhow, Haji Sahib over here, he would be at the office. I'd be like, Haji Sahib, I'll be at your office at like 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9. And he'd be like, yeah, show up. He'd be there. Subhanallah. They had other issues. Um, and in those issues, they were not acting Muslim, or they were not acting Islamic, and that caused problems to crop up. But mashallah, by being honest, giving proper quality of product, showing up early, they were one of the most successful business people in an extremely tough environment. So by following the Islamic principles, they were succeeding. So don't give me this BS about, oh, the market is so unfair and so dishonest when you are just mixing 50-60% tuna and getting to the office at 1-2 o'clock. There are people coming to our mind right now. Customers would ask our technical services on on how to increase the content of filler, increase the content of chalk. They would ask some, subtle recipes on if I put this oil and that oil, and certain markets were like masters at this. Pathetic. Really bad. Bad business practices. It's a modern lament. Where are you, Muslim businessmen? And they'll all be five-time hajis, five-time paying hajis. Okay. So yeah, charity is good. Give charity, absolutely. But you know what's better? Charity that's given from efficient enterprises in which you improve your bottom line and do more hiring and compete more effectively and grow the size of the pie versus staying in your little lane. And very nice, you're giving charity, that's good, but from a smaller base. Why don't you build your base and give more charity? And in fact, don't give charity at all, give charity, but you know build so much prosperity that you can be Hazrat Umar bin Abdul Aziz, that you're going in the markets and you can't figure out where to give charity because, well, there's too much prosperity around, because you have enacted all the principles of a Muslim businessman, um, espoused most perfectly by our beloved Shafiul Muzmin, Rahmatullah Alameen, Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We want to be like the Prophet. Oh, we want to follow the Sunnah, but that means doing five-time prayers. Yeah, the five-time prayers, do them. By all means, do them. But the way you're going to have the namaz-e-hazuri is if outside the mosque you do the stuff that you do your stuff well, right? So yeah, get to the office on time. Please get to the office on time. Start at 6 or 7 o'clock. Get me to the office at 6 or 7 o'clock as your employee, so that I can leave at 4 o'clock. And I can spend time with my family, and I can be refreshed, and I can come back to your work. And I'm not doing you any favor, but I can give you the best possible, do my best possible self to the work, so that your bottom line may increase. So please, businessmen, do that. Business person, do that. Be more Muslim. Make efficient enterprises, put systems in place, planning. Everyone makes fun of the Maulvi, but tell me one person, one class of people who have for the last 1400 years operated a supremely efficient enterprise, aka the mosque, where the call to prayer went out across the entire world on time, every time. Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. No lateness, no delay, working on uh, in preposition, precision. Where are you, Mr. Businessman, making fun of all the Maulvis? Where are you, or Muslims, making fun of the Maulvis? How show me where you can follow this day in day out, 5 times a day, the clockwork precision, following the time in your own lives. Tell me, I won't find many people, like maybe many decimal places past, many zeros past that decimal place times one. You get the point. So we'll make efficient enterprises, put systems in place, put proper planning, show me Toyota production system. Beautiful book by Jeffrey Liker. Highly, I recommend you to read it and find all the Sunnah related stuff and print the Sunnah, the Muslim version. Um, but put in the Muslim production system. Create the books around that, please, so that we can read it and enact it. And it should be practice, driven by practice and experience. I've gone way over time. Yeah, I mentioned hire ulama, hire muftis. Please put them on your shop floor, put them on your factory floor. Model your enterprise in the sunnah. Surround your people, surround your workers with deen. Give them the opportunity to operate uh, like a Muslim enterprise. You know, don't follow the DE&I being enacted by leading corporations of Pakistan as your guidance. So many good Memon enterprises succumbing to the temptation that Anglo is putting, sorry, that leading enterprises are putting their way, i.e., DE&I, that comes from their buddies at the World Economic Forum, where they want to show them, give them these stories about, look at our DE&I practices, and look at our women, who are at the office at 7 p.m. and their kids are running around and look at their dedication. I kid you not, this was one CEO who was saying, look at this XYZ person, look how dedicated she is. Her kid is running and still she's making sure she gets 5 time praying guy who kept sprouting out um, 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 pieties about how it's all about the Quran and Sunnah. That's it. That's it. Bro, Quran and Sunnah is not just, doing the tilawat of the Quran. It's enacting the commandments of the Quran. It's not just saying the Sunnah, it's, which is, and then putting on, I don't know, um, didn't even have a beard. Like I'm saying having a beard. I'm saying that, even that basic Sunnah, that fundamental Sunnah, let alone the Sunnah which says that, you know, women should be raising the next generation and not staring at the computer screen for some mindless HR stuff, which I not benefit much from. Instead of the mindless HR stuff at 7 in the evening. Why are you working at 7 in the evening? Okay, fine, work, fine. My family, many women they work, but why are you there at 7 p.m.? Either you're not working properly, or you're understaffed. And it goes back to the CEO. You shouldn't be bragging about and giving wondrous sprouting wondrous pieties about, look at this woman, she's inspiring me, so that you can go to your, she's inspiring me, look how much work she's doing, so that you can go to the World Economic Forum and people can be like, ooh, and eyeing about, yeah, this is such an inspiring story. And then um, um, using that as fodder at leading enterprises in Pakistan, as fodder to feed to all those Memon enterprises who aspire to become like that and start changing wholesale their entire business philosophy of only working with men and maintaining a religious atmosphere and changing that rapidly in the hopes that I'm going to take my enterprise to the next level. It's not going to go to the next level, my friend. All sorts of rubbish is going to start cropping up and you won't know how to explain it. And yeah, cleanliness. Please make your companies clean. Make your businesses and marketplaces clean. They're disgusting. It's disgusting, our markets. Need to do something about it. Anyhow, modern lament sounded more like a modern rant. But yeah, where are you, Muslim businessman? If you're there, you're not doing a very good job because our marketplaces are in shambles. And none of you is doing a good enough job to invite the Muslims into our fold, as our Sahaba-e-Kiram did the world over. So anyhow, we went over this. Look, again, I really respect the work of a businessman. May Allah give me the the chance, the blessing of being a businessman and enacting the sunnah through that, right? I'm talking so much. May Allah give me the chance, and I hope I do everything that I'm saying. But this is a unique gift that you've been given. You've been born a Muslim, and you were given the gift of being a businessman. One of the highest callings in life. So step up to it. And I gave you lots of practical examples. And if you just want to choose one of them, just one, you just want to choose one, just one you want to have, easy. I understand. It's hard, like 11 things, 11 diets to follow to lose visceral fat and 22 things to do to make your morning perfect. You want one thing? Employ muftis and ulamas on your shop floor and make them an integral part of your business making decision. I think that will go a long way in building the Islamic societies that we so struggle and yearn and desire to have. And on that note, thank you for joining. Until next week, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.